from significant. This is Crack It in an Hour.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crack It in an Hour. I'm Simon.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Roman.
And today we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Go for it.
My name is Alix. I'm French, as you're going to be able to hear for 1 hour. I work in creative area. I have a fashion brand that I've been owning for 19 years almost.
Amazing.
Yeah, long time. And I do the designs. I also take care of all the business part. And I also am a partner of a creative agency called the Refreshment Club that we started in Paris and that we just opened here in Dubai a few months ago.
It's incredible.
Amazing.
It's so exciting to have you. Thank you so much.
I'm very excited too.
Yeah. And you mentioned something there that's important, which is we're in Dubai.
We're in Dubai.
Yes.
We are in Dubai.
Yeah, it's incredible.
First international pod.
I know. We could talk about that for an hour.
I'm sure it's going to come up.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to come up.
It's going to come up, I'm sure. And but most importantly is the topic of the day. It's the same as it always is, which is one of us has done all the research, has a question, a problem to crack. The rest of us have no idea what it is. And today that person is Roman.
The host with the most.
Let's go.
Let's go. Here we go. Let's get into it.
I'll take it away. I'll hit the clock. Let's go. So, I mean, you mentioned it. Today's it's a pretty special episode, right? Like we're recording from Dubai. A kind of a place that feels like is where the future is being built, really.
Totally.
Yes.
Like we're at the end of a week-long trip and it was just mind-blowing on so many levels. It's very special to me because I've been friends with Alix for probably 35 years, if my math is right.
Something like that.
And so always following each other from close, from afar. Like I live in the US, you were in the US, but then you were in France. Now you're here in Dubai, but there's still that bond from childhood that never goes away. So it's really special. It's the first time we have someone that close. So I'm so excited. I'm so happy to have a chat. I'm so happy to be in Dubai. And I picked a topic that I think is relevant to the four of us because I know for a fact that at least once we've all done that. At least for Alix and I know way more. For you guys, I know at least once because I'm a part of it. And that topic is about bold decisions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The question is, if we want to just, tie it as a question, is why don't more people make bold decisions when they say they want it? Mm-hmm. And how can we actually make them happen?
I like it.
That's a wild topic.
Big one.
It is
a big one.
It's wild. This is one of those that we may not solve. But
I love it.
It's societal. It's psychology. It's personal experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
Alix just recorded a podcast a week or two ago, maybe a little longer, but it aired maybe last week. A French podcast called Bon Voyage or Beau Voyage, where you maybe you can talk about, but you talked about why you moved to Dubai and unapologetically said the reasons. And I think it's such a bold decision. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're getting obviously hate and love.
Yeah, both.
Right?
I mean, at that stage, last week, I would say I had more love than hate. Strong haters, but very deep love and kind of admiration for taking that. Yeah. Making that move, especially also because the destination where you go to when you decide to make a move is also a big part of it, And Dubai is obviously very controversial, especially when I'm Alix Petit, Parisian designer with a French family. It's such a stretch, for people. But it's true that in people's eyes, it's such it becomes annoying for them because, I feel when you decide to make a move, it's also very personal.
Yes.
Because obviously if you have no reasons to move from where you are because you're having the perfect life, you enjoy everything you're having, it's hard to make changes. You usually make changes when you get to that
when something's
time
bad.
and place where, you cannot stand it anymore. So I feel it's sometimes what makes you do huge decisions is something violent that resonates in you and you're I actually cannot deal with this anymore. I cannot have it, being And yeah, it's crazy because everyone can do those changes. And the first, I would say that I think the first thing that why people won't do it is because they are actually afraid of what other people will think. Like judgment in our society is like
I love you're going straight in. You're going straight in like psychology, which is amazing.
I want to talk about. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I could drop a bit of data, even though maybe we don't need it this time around. But there's some numbers behind it that's kind of like proving it.
I'm curious.
Please
it's
do.
like, but I wanted to start with like, thanks for sharing like the experience with the pod, and that's what's prompted the topic is like you exposed your bold decision to a mostly French audience, but to like France basically, and the results, like honestly, you guys, I wish you could read French or just use a bit of AI. There was so much hate.
Oh, it's incredible.
I was like, and obviously, when you expose yourself online, like that's unfortunately welcome to the internet. But there was also so much love. So many people were like, oh my God, you have unlocked something in me. You have just expressed what I've felt for my entire life. And I was like, why is that? Yeah. Like, I understand why, and we're going to talk about it, and maybe I don't understand why, and we're going to talk about other more interesting things. But I thought it's fascinating, right? Like all of us at some point, at least one, like we started a company leaving like a comfortable job less than a year ago, right? I would call that a bold decision.
Yeah,
right?
I would put that in the bucket.
And there's probably a bunch of other ones. So anyway, when you look at careers is the easiest, career ambition versus reality. Like in the US, you have like almost 60% of people in jobs who are actively job hunting. There are only a fraction of that who are actually making a leap and make a pivot. So they express interest, but they don't go. Yeah. More than 30% are considering complete career change, changing industries, right? I think I don't have the result number, but it's fair to say not a third of the population is doing that shift. Yeah. So big intentions, very low follow through. The regret component, I think we'll get to talk about, is really big. Like in the UK, 40% of adults regret how they've lived their adult life so far.
That's crushing. That's
crazy. The worst part, probably.
In the US, only 44%, that's from Gallup, only 44% of people say they're very satisfied with their lives. So it keeps going, and we know it. We've studied it. We have some crazy stats. I do want to caveat that, like, obviously the 4 people in the room were like, we're privileged people that can make those decisions. Right. Yeah. So some of those stats, like sometimes you just can't. Yes. Yeah. But we see it around us. Many people can, and they don't. Right? They technically can. Yeah. I remember moving to Hong Kong 18 years ago. And I mean, I was young. I was like, you know, like 24. And I'll go back to France in the summer. And my friends, people around would be like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, wait. You can do it. This is not luck. Yeah. Like I just,
it was a choice.
I just made that decision. Yeah. And no children, no big job, no like, and you're the same. You're also 25. And you see what I mean? So there is that feeling of like, you're so lucky to be able to make that decision. But many, many times people can.
Yeah.
So I have more, but I think we get the gist, right? Like it's really there's a thing between intention and follow through. Yeah. That's a bit of a
100%.
I think the youth component's a really interesting one because there's a tendency to, I think, believe that you can only take risks when you're young.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a whole other topic that I think we could go on and on about, but I feel like it has a massive impact on bold decisions, because I think the reality is most people actually know themselves better later in life and know what they want, but feel that it's too late. I mean, it's the sunk cost fallacy, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's too.
Totally.
Oh well, what's the point of doing it now because I've already lost 15 years of not doing what I wanted to do. But even if you're not thinking that way, there's sort of this weird tension between when you're young, when you're not tied down, when you can change careers, when you don't have children, those are the times to make bold decisions. But most people know the kind of decisions they want to make 10, 15, 20 years after their so-called youth. And I think that's one of the to me, that's a fascinating challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I also, like really think when you're young and when you make like those moves when you're like 24, it always takes a lot of courage to leave behind what you have, because you leave like your comfort, you leave something to go toward the unknown. I think also it's a question of like personality and curiosity, you know, because it's so much easier to stay where you are in a place that you know with the same friends. And Romain, for growing up together, we have some friends that have never really lived where they grew up, you know. And for me, I mean, I don't want to judge that, but for me, to my life, it would be like so sad, you know, like to still be in the same place from when I was a kid. I feel there is so much more to see and like, you know, like to have the curiosity. I also think I agree with you that there is this big difference in between when you move when you're young, where you have like less strings attached because you don't have a family, your job, you feel you have so much time ahead of you to make changes. Changing life when you have a family and the responsibility of it is another, you know, like step in moving, you know, like in like taking responsibility of like changing your whole way of living and also accepting the other people's feeling, because when you move, you're a family of 4 or 5. It's like, you know, like it's different. Not just depending, like it's less selfish in a way. When you move by yourself, it's like, okay, I can do it. Yeah. Then you have like to have a lot of understanding, compassion, you know, like it opens up, you know, like conversation with your family. I mean, that's a fascinating way of it, is really to open up to something completely new as a family, which is like really amazing.
But I think you hear people say, or at least I've heard so many people say, when you're having a conversation with somebody, whether it's a job change, move, some big conversation, I feel like the response is always, you're young, do it. You're young. And it's like, well, doesn't that set the precedent that if you're not young, you can't make a bold choice?
That's great.
What's funny, what's interesting about that is you're touching on something that is very interesting about what you're about this thing, which is the conversation and the perception is that it's always a choice of the youth.
Totally.
Whereas I think the average age of someone starting a business in America is 46.
Yeah.
So it's like the reality doesn't match the perception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
and so,
such a good point.
but to your point, I think it holds a lot of people back.
Totally. Because they
keep thinking, well, that's a young person's
thing to do. And the culture around it is very youth centric. And then, yes, of course, it is more difficult if there are, you know, if it's not just your life to consider. So there are some, I think, emotional, logistical complexities as you get older. But I mean, for me, I'm always going straight to thinking about how to like shift the psychology around the cultural narrative. And I feel like the youth verse, let's say wise, not old, is an interesting one.
100%. I wanted to, we've already gone down an interesting path, but I wanted to also ask you really quickly about, with the people who were frustrated or upset with your move, what was your consensus on why?
I mean, there are like some very, very different points of views in the messages I received, because there are the one you saw that are under that post, and there's the one I received on my Instagram. And I was shocked about how my move made people confused, but for very different reasons.
Interesting.
I mean, it's actually incredible. Some is just like pure out of jealousy.
I was gonna say.
You know, like
the
people that wrote those messages, I can feel they are stuck, not in their life, but in their head first.
Yeah.
You know, they have like so many stereotypes about what is Dubai, what comes with Dubai, money, and all of that. Like, they just cannot deal with it because they are so against it. It's, you know, it's a very small-minded arguments they were giving me, and very aggressive. And I always believe that when people are so aggressive for no reason, it's because they have a lot of frustration and fear that comes from themselves. And I'm the one, you know, that reflects it as a mirror.
It's always a mirror every time.
Yeah,
totally.
Yes, 100%.
But
what you said, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just one point I want to raise, because I a lot of the messages are very shocking to me, not because they are like violent and all of that, but if you really read in between their lines, there is so much racism attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So much fear of Dubai being in a Muslim country.
Right.
You know, and those women were like very aggressive to me and talking about women's rights and how can you move in a country where like women's rights are like not fair and they're not respecting that and that. I'm like, well, how can you actually talk to me this way? Like, where is my right to live my own? I mean, you know, like there is this juxtaposition where people, they're like accusing me for being in a country and that are actually pushing those points onto my face when I'm like, I'm coming from France. Obviously, I have the right to live my life, say whatever I want out loud, but you don't want to hear it because it's, you know, like there is this like double psychology out of it. But I really, the most shocking for me is racism behind it. They never see it, but in what they say, this is what it means. And that's a horrific part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not racism. It's prejudice for me. But like the thing, like I'm from Canada originally. And I remember when I first moved away from my hometown to Vancouver and then came back, everyone was like, well, you're back now. Good. Like that. You did that little thing for an hour. And then literally after being there for a year, I moved to the United States and like everyone would just be like, how can you, like, not everyone, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of people who are very happy, very content, all that stuff. But when I did receive heat, it was, how can you live in that country? You know, what are you doing there? How do you feel about gun control? This. But the other thing that was really interesting underneath it, of it being like as a reflection too, is that I think a lot of the time I was catching heat with very convenient answers rather than like inherent curiosity about the experience of living somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like it felt like a lot of the times when I'd get some feedback, it was just like, well, that's not something people do in my head. So I'm going to tell you what, like, I'm going to tell you that basically in a way, you know what I mean?
In a way to please people, to tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah. Because it would just constantly come as like gun control, human rights, these are things, this. How can you live in a country where this supports this, that, and the other thing? Go ahead, sorry, Jesse.
Well, I think I know why people don't make bold decisions.
Go ahead.
She's going to crack it.
Here we go. Crack it.
Classic Jesse.
People don't understand the meaning of life. It sounds complex, but it's actually quite simple. I think that the word curiosity has come up already 3 times.
Yeah.
I think that is the meaning. That is the intent of life. We are here for a time, I think, to learn. That is like our experience on this planet is to learn. Yeah. And I don't mean in an academic sense, obviously, but I think that, and there are so many structures that have obviously created the system that we are all in, but we, somewhere along the way, the milestones, the linear path, the checkpoints along the way, the achievements, to your point about perception of what other people are going to think about you. I mean, that is one of, I think, the biggest reasons that people don't make bold choices, is simply because either they don't want to disappoint, or they don't want to be judged, or they don't want to lose.
Fear.
It's fear.
It's fear. But I
fear
think
makes you like stagnant, you know, when you're afraid, you cannot move. Yeah. Like, you know,
and I think it's hard to convince somebody not to be afraid, but it could be easier to reprogram somebody's mind around, what are you actually doing here? What is the meaning of life?
That's really
like that.
Yeah. I mean, the curiosity angle is big. I agree with the meaning of life. It's interesting the way you framed it. I was like, you said it. I was like, oh, here we go. And then, I unpacked it in my head. And I was like, actually, it kind of makes sense.
You know, it's funny because from what you're saying, like I knew like because I didn't tell anyone I was moving to Dubai, because it's like a hot topic, even if I'm 100% aligned. Like I landed here, I was like, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life pretty much. But I knew it was going to be like an issue for so many people, especially like French European people. And I started like a Substack, which is like a newsletter called What Comes After. And on this, I talk about making like bold decisions, but also I'm trying to give another perspective on life and how we should live life, because we are pushed down, you know, from our society to follow the rules, to listen to what our teachers are saying, you know, like just to follow the rules. And I think this is like not right, because you can spend your whole life living a very simple, with having your job, taking care of your kids, but you're like, what you're saying, like you're lacking the most important thing is like living your life.
Yeah.
And living your life doesn't mean you need to stay in the same place the whole time. It means like to go and confront yourself to the outside world to see and to help you grow.
Yeah.
Because fear like keeps you in the same place. When you have the curiosity, it helps you to grow. You know, like I feel I'm a totally different person than I was like 3 months ago before I arrived in Dubai, which is probably the most amazing thing that could happen to my life at 42 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
And again, like the this is not a shameless plug. This is a fact. The success of your Substack is showing that people are interested in this, are looking for help.
Yes.
Are looking to hear people's perspectives on the subject and are probably going to get excited to discover they're not alone in this. They get stuck in. Many people are like, how do I do this? I really want to do this. I'm not that happy actually, even though some people don't want to claim they're unhappy because on paper they're happy, right?
Right.
So if you come from like a good family and you have a good job and everybody's healthy, you're like, well, everything's fine. But it doesn't mean happiness necessarily, right?
Totally.
Like,
It could mean comfort, and comfort and happiness are not the same thing.
Exactly. And so I think I think the success, like you started it a few months ago, you have thousands of subscribers and amazingly positive reviews on it. It's a proof.
Yeah.
It's a proof that like people are like, you're just opening, it's an open mic, your Substack. I feel like when it's like, just, okay, I'm just going to say it how it is. And people are like drinking it.
There's so many, one of the things I think is really interesting is this is obviously a massive topic, right? And I think even I made the joke about the meaning of life, even though I do believe that is like the crux of the problem. The reality though, is I think you have to solve it in micro steps, because there are so many little micro structures and adjustments to let go of. Like, for example, and this is maybe a very US example, but I know we've talked about it a lot, or I've talked about it to you guys a lot, like the concept of owning a house. And I challenge myself constantly. I don't own a house. And I'm like, I know I think that I'm supposed to, but I wonder if it's not actually the thing I want. Because if I think about the life I want, I don't really want to own a house, but you've got to break it down in your brain over and over and over again. And that's a little bigger, but like, you know, bold choices seem scary because it seems like an overwhelming task, an undertaking of epic proportion. And I feel like part of the solution is trying to figure out how to break it down into really tactical steps. Like, and I mean, king of logistics over here. I feel like you could start a business on it.
Sales logistic here for you. I don't think I have the answer to that, but I do think it would be interesting to keep unpacking the kind of the reasons. I think we talked about fear. That's one. I think fear is fear of failure. It's existent. It's real. I think you had an interesting reframing on fear, Jesse. But what are the other things? Because I think there are other things.
I don't know if it's exactly the same thing. I don't think it's fear, but it's close to fear, which is you're never going to be 100% comfortable with it. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever you're making a big choice, there is a leap involved, and a blind leap involved. And I think for a lot of people I know who've kind of gotten to that precipice and pulled back, it was like, it wasn't the right time, or like, it wasn't the right circumstances. And it's like, it's never going to be 100%.
Yeah, but yes. Thanks for bringing this up. I think that's amazing because that's a massive reframing opportunity.
Yes.
I think because certainty is associated to safety.
It is.
Yes.
Right. But certainty, I remember before we started our venture, I was talking to, we used to share like an executive coach, Robert, shout out. He's the best in the world.
Couldn't have done it without him, honestly.
I don't think we could have.
Robert told me, I was like, man, it's a tough decision. I'm here, comfortable job. Clients are happy. The work is good. The talent retention is good. We're growing. I like the values of this company. And he's like, I mean, just think about it. Tomorrow, that job could be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I thought about it like typical Robert. I thought about it for like 10 seconds. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. Anything could happen.
Okay.
Anything could happen.
That phrase that made you like jump the.
It's one of the many, but like,
okay.
and that guy is a yeah,
Can
to me, he's a
You're saying
genius. He gets in my brain.
safety is an illusion.
Yes, exactly.
Comfort.
Yes.
Exactly. Like the certainty of safety doesn't exist.
I mean, I also feel safety. You get it like once you take your decision, you know, like what's very frustrating and very scary when you want to make that move, but you cannot like pull the trigger is this phase where you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Once you make the decision, you find your safety net again, because the first thing you're going to build for that move is your safety net.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to make like rebuild it just after. So it's just a new one.
Yeah.
But it goes so fast once the decision is made. Like it's really like within a few seconds, actually. It's just a switch in your brain saying, okay, I'm seeing the situation this way. I know the doubts. I know what I'm like fearing, and just triggering that, plugging off that switch, plugging the other one, and then I feel it's done. You know,
that's so
that's
true.
spoken
And
like a true person who's made big decisions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the way you're kind of tuned to it now.
Yeah.
I think also because you brought up Robert, and this is, I will never forget this, but I think as much as safety is an illusion, failure is also an illusion.
Yeah, it is.
And because the thing that he said to me, it was pretty much the game changer for me, because I kept talking about, it was fear, right? But it was fear of failure and what if, and, you know, I've been so focused on growth in my career. And he said, he actually didn't say it right away, but a couple minutes later in the conversation, he was like, hey, by the way, you know, like, what is success going to be like for you guys? And I was like, oh, you know, that's kind of the fun part, is we don't really know yet. We don't know how it's going to grow. And I'm going on and on. He goes, I'm just curious, if you don't know what success looks like, how do you know what failure is? And I was like, damn, Robert. Every time.
Checkmate. Here's another check.
But that's true. Like, because I think when you asked about some of the other problems, I think one of the things about bold decisions is that they sometimes appear as if they have to be final versus just one more step in the journey. But you think because you're making such a big choice, it has to be the final choice. And it doesn't. No. But I don't think I think that also has to reframe, whether it's failure or whether it's just recognizing that just because you made some radical, big, bold decision, it's not like, because I think that some of the fear is like, but what if it's the wrong decision?
It's not all
and it's like, it's okay if it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because
when you make bold decisions or big changes, your first thinking would be like, oh, I'm making this change for my whole life.
The rest of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, who could decide that?
Exactly.
I mean, I would be paralyzed with fear if I thought that was the rest of my life. And I think that's the perception on bold decisions.
That's really interesting.
That it is for the rest of your life. It's the change. It's the second act. But I think that's going back to even the journey of learning and experience. I think you have to start thinking, or people need to start thinking about like many, many chapters of their life.
Your reframing of a big decision isn't binary. Is really interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because that thinking of like, this is just a decision. You're not, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur tomorrow. Might not be an entrepreneur in a year.
Totally.
Tomorrow you're an entrepreneur. Let's start there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really interesting. And I can't tell if that makes it easier or harder, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
How do you unpack it in small steps? I'm switching gears, but I'm like,
no, I like that too.
Because I'm like, fear, fair. There's a job to be done in messaging and reframing. I think we talked about it. Certainty, safety, but then there's something about decision paralysis too, and that could start with like learning how to make decisions. Small decisions. We all have friends who like can't make a single decision. Right. And that's education, psychology, whatever happened. There's always like a legit reason for it. How do you help people even just make smaller decisions? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, what's a small decision?
What do you want to eat for dinner tonight?
That's a really small one.
One of the hardest decisions in the world.
You both said totally opposite things.
Exactly. It's like, that's a tiny one.
I mean,
huge question every day.
I wake up thinking about it. And I still don't have it figured out.
Good moment. You know, like it's
with a twist or dirty. It's
Well, that's an easy.
That's a tough decision.
Both.
No, but you see what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's tough because I think what makes a big decision is consequences in people's minds.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like, at least for me, if I don't have a great meal tonight, provided it doesn't make me sick or anything, it's a wasted opportunity, but I probably have hopefully thousands more. I was going to say hundreds. But hopefully I have 1,000 more meals in my lifetime, then I'll make up for it sort of thing. But generally what we're speaking about here is a decision that has, moving, starting a new job. Chasing what you really find interesting, all of those sort of things. There's consequences. There's a downside. How do you lessen the downside?
Or talk about the consequences of not doing it.
See, that's
which I think is interesting. I mean, and we talk a lot about like deathbed regret, but that feels so like.
Have you heard of RMF?
No.
Regret minimization framework. It's a whole framework. It's exactly that.
Okay. Oh, yes, I have heard of this. Yes. But I mean, it's so hard, right? I mean, we talk about this even with sustainability and investing. It's really impossible to motivate people based on something really far. So if you're like on your deathbed, you're going to regret. I'm like, that's 100 years away, guys. Like I'm good. But if you try to reframe the immediate consequences of not making the decision, that gets pretty interesting to me.
You're talking about FOMO.
Yeah, a little bit of FOMO, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but don't you have when you think about something, just something you want to achieve today, and you don't do it because you're tired or you're a bit lazy? Like, you have this FOMO, you have like this guilt, that builds inside of you. I cannot stand that feeling.
Yeah.
I feel also it depends on like how emotionally people behave.
Yes.
You have some people, like I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, so I'm a decision maker. I can take a decision like this in 2 seconds. Some people, it would be like much harder, not because they don't have the ability, but just their personality, the way, like they process information is completely different. So there is like such different levels of also like understanding ourselves and how I live happy when I'm having actions, when I'm taking actions, when I have control on my decision and my life. That's probably why you are entrepreneurs, all of you right now. Some people, they like to work in a company where they have their security, they go home, like it's the world is made of like so many different ways of thinking, and this group of people would be like much harder for them to take action. Because it comes with such a long way, like those baby steps we're talking about. Like for them, it's like a lifetime achievement to take them.
Yeah. And a lot of people are very happy in that situation. And that's fantastic. Yeah. That's great. But a lot of people aren't.
We're not saying make a big change for big change's sake. It's if you feel it, how do you act on it?
Yeah.
This is a tangent a little bit, only because I don't know how to answer yet the question about the small steps. But what you were talking about, Alex, was making me think, I'm going to forget the name of the framework. I think it's a psychology framework, but people are also, people who are decision makers at work aren't always decision makers at home.
True.
Right.
And so we tend to have different, there's like, I don't remember, I think it's an archetype, but like a specific framework of archetype, like the hero archetype, the victim, I forget the other two in the little quadrant. But sometimes you're one at home and a different one at work. And I think that's also interesting because we've been talking a lot about bold decisions, mostly through the lens of work. But it could obviously come from anywhere. And I think that's a whole level of complexity because you sort of have to start solving the problem with understanding first, okay, what role are you within are we talking about career or life? Okay. And then what role are you playing in that? And then you're going to have to solve the problem from that perspective. Cause you could be a great decision maker in some parts of your life. And then you have a totally different role somewhere else.
So then let's
psychology, complexity.
Super quick round of like, what helps you make those decisions just personally? I'm happy to start answering because I'm putting you guys on the spot.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the RMF. It's the FOMO thing. It's like, what am I at risk to regret?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, if I had to name one thing that pushed me over the line, it's that. It's like waking up at 65 65, 70, getting close to an age where you want to cool down and stop working or slow down, and be like, I've actually never started a company. I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
That, if I have to name one, there's many others, but I have to name one. It's that. The FOMO thing is to me, it works.
A big one for me was confidence. Like the more I became more confident in like, no. I think like whether it was either moving for a job and a career or starting a company, it was like, it required a tremendous amount of confidence of me going like, no, I think I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have done it without that. Yeah. That's a driver.
Yeah. How fun do I think it's going to be?
That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
But actually, this one is, so I think maybe a little bit of a controversial take, at least in some conversations I've had around it.
Am I going to be worried that I'm in business with you after this?
We love hot takes.
It's not that hot of a take, but I think it throws some people off. I've always talked about this with myself in decision making is I specifically don't explore every possible option.
Oh yeah.
I think so many people do because they're afraid they might have left something on the table. And I think that's like an impossible way to make decisions. If you put 27 options, I like a dinner menu that has 10 things on it. When I think about what I want to do, I look at like if I even booking a hotel, I'm like, I'll look at three. I pick one.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I look at three.
You gave me shit last week or 2 weeks ago because I was like, I was booking the trip for all of us. And I went down this
and I said, you're going to go down the rabbit hole.
So many options.
And you ended
the
up
following day, I was like, I spent 2 hours looking for a hotel. She's like, why didn't you pick the first one?
And what
the one you picked, where was it in your first selection? I was like, it was definitely the first three.
100%. It always is, but it's true. And like, I think
that's incredible.
I think people think it's an irresponsible approach, but I actually think it's a reflection of trusting your instinct and also knowing that at some point analysis is detrimental to the decision making process. And people do way too much research that I think then paralyzes them to go make certain decisions. I mean, Yelp picking restaurants now, like when you have like Google reviews, you like just keep going and going and going and going. I'm like, that place looks good. Let's go over there. If it's not, well, adventure.
Plus tangent. Why do we trust strangers for the food we're going to eat?
Oh my God, don't get me started. Don't get me started. This is my new favorite topic.
So much time listening to like strangers and their comments and what they think about the decision you made in your life.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have a way to make decisions?
I mean, I'm very instinctive. So if I have a good feeling about it and, you have this little light inside of you that you feel is the right one, I just go for it.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'm very impulsive too. So I would really I can go with anything, I can say, I really want to do that, but then you would say, no, let's go over there. It looks nice. Oh, okay, great, cool. If I have a good feeling about it and someone says it's cool, like I just...
You're both touching on something really interesting that we should probably unpack, is instinct.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about instinct a little bit.
Please.
Well, it's interesting because I think maybe this will create a tangent. So bring it back to instinct. But I think if you make a decision on instinct, back to your point about confidence, you also know that it's on you. You're trusting yourself to make the most of it. Yeah. Like one of the reasons I'll use the hotel example that I'm like, just pick three, pick one. Because I know whatever it is, I'm going to have fun because I'm going to trust myself to create fun wherever I go. If I'm going on vacation, I'm like, okay, if the hotel, whatever, we're going to have fun. But that's not, it's partial. I brought it up with instinct because I was thinking about if you move or make a bold decision and expect the people around you to be responsible for making it good versus having the confidence in your own instinct and your ability to make it good. I feel like that's a big part of, maybe that's not how, it doesn't help you make decision, but it certainly helps you believe in what will the positive consequence of the decision. But I don't know, what were you going to say on instinct, Roman?
I have a thing on instinct, and I just want to see if you all agree with it, which is like instinct can be trained, refined, and made better. Like instinct isn't something you're born with and you either have it or you don't.
Yeah,
it is
that's a
something
good point.
that you can improve on. You know what I mean? And I think that might be something a lot of people don't think.
That's really good. Keep talking.
Well, I think instinct is, I think in the framing of what you just described as instinct, it is comfort making decisions when there's a decision that needs to be made. You know what I mean? And because you're right, like it is like, there's that thing, I'm a big believer in subconscious thought. Like I've talked to these two about it all the time too. And I'm a big believer. And I do think instinct is essentially really well-trained subconscious thought. And it's just like your body going like that. You know what I mean? It's already done 100,000 calculations in the back of your head and it's saying that. And it's not just kind of coming from your gut and going like,
You're not
I don't
saying
know.
It's magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
But I do
I
think
really believe this, and I believe sleep helps you
Huge.
to take a good decision.
Huge.
Sports, running, all of that.
Yeah.
It helps you to work on your instinct
Yes.
and how you can, because you have like much more captors to life. I feel I'm very connected. I mean, I told you, I think when we met the other day, but I really believe in like vibrations of the seed. I really feel it deep down in me, like vibration of people. And all of this, I feel that works with instinct is when you sleeping, and I sleep a lot, helps me to have a more clear vision on my choices because I'm more aligned with myself. I'm clear in my head. I know, like I have my emotions are here, and then I feel I get like very fast on decisions.
Yeah.
I think we have Jesse's favorite strategy. That's just 2 conversations away.
No.
And Jesse's favorite strategy is be hot, make decisions. Because if you sleep well and you're fit and you feel good in your body, you're going to make better decisions.
Right.
So we can have Jesse.
Hot decisions.
Hot decisions.
Hot decisions.
It's back.
New company, hot decisions. I'm pretty into that. No, I was scared you were going to talk about sleep.
No, I'm not.
But actually, you, Roman, have often said never make a decision tired or hungover.
Never.
Yes,
Never. This is part of my rules.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
If I'm too tired, I'm like, I'm just removing it from my brain for the day, and I'll think about it the following.
Yeah,
day.
it's
I would also add
very
pissed
good.
off.
Exactly. Never. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's certain
Tired or
rules.
mad.
There's something about instinct, like, so subconscious is really interesting. It's difficult to tap. It's impossible to tap.
Right.
Except through hypnosis.
Yeah.
But, different marketing strategy there.
Mm-hmm.
Instinct, though, has the reason I reacted to your thought about instinct can be trained. I don't know. You had a perfect line because you're a writer about this, but trained, groomed, improved, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a good.
I don't even remember
It was a good.
But I remember it being great.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good handle. The reason I clicked on this is that the common belief is that instinct is instinct. You can't control it. It's your instinct.
Yeah.
And so that led me down a thought that I can't quite crystallize, but there is something about reframing the role of instinct and the control you could have over instinct. And the other thing is, cliches and common phrases exist for a reason, and trust your gut is a real sentence that the entire planet uses.
Yeah.
How do you leverage that? You said it's real. Like, we all know it. We're talking about instinct. Sometimes, very often, the last thing you go to after exploring the options, even if it's 3 options or 2 options, you go to like, what's my gut saying?
Yeah.
It's real. It's a thing. Like,
totally
how do you go about leveraging that to help people?
I think you need to. Okay, Simon's favorite topic: gamification.
Let's go.
Gamify the gut.
Gamify the gut. That sounds like a fiber brand.
It does sound like a fiber brand, but it's surprise, it's not. But actually, I wonder if people don't realize how many times in the past, this would be so hard to do, but how many times in the past they trusted their gut and something happened, because that's not something you track. Like, you're not tracking like,
how right is my gut?
How right is my gut? But I mean, my God, we're tracking everything else. Why not track that? But it's interesting to think about if you had personal success data on like, oh, well, actually, 97% of the time I've chosen my gut option, it's gone well.
I honestly can't remember a day where I did that and it didn't go well.
Totally.
No. And I think that speaks to just how trusting your gut goes with confidence, regardless of whether it works or not. I don't know if it works, but my memory thinks it was the right decision anyway.
Yeah, because you feel good about it.
Exactly.
Because you listen to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how many times do you follow what somebody else suggested and you're really disappointed afterwards?
Many, but not that many. I think that's a touch different because to me personally, it's got to do with control. It's got to do with like what you're saying is like, we're all entrepreneurs. We make decisions. It's like, and if I like, I'd rather be different conversation. Again, we talked about driving very recently, but I'd rather be driving than in the passenger seat. Because if I drive, I'm in control. Right. I'm in control of my own destiny. Yeah. So, and I think that's kind of, to me, my brain goes there when you say that. It's like I think about,
because I was thinking back to what you said about disappointing, like the fear of disappointing other people or their perception. I mean, one of my favorite sayings, not that I live by it as much as I should, is the only person that you should never disappoint is yourself. Yeah. And so I think I hear you, Roman. It's like slightly different, but I think about it is a good barometer for me for how much, even when you follow your gut, even if it wasn't on paper the right decision, you feel better about the decision because it was your decision.
Yeah, because you own it.
You're owning it. Yeah.
What's dawning on me having this conversation now is how many big decisions I've made that have been disasters that ended up working out in the end.
Oh, interesting.
After reframing, and now me going, that was a good decision.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really, really interesting because
the last beer.
No, but like, I mean, two that come to mind right away was I went to school for something I had no interest in, it turns out. And it was 5 years of something I wasn't particularly interested in.
What did you do?
I went to school for computer sance. And
I'm very happy you did.
I know it's worked out tremendously for a lot of other reasons, but not the one I went to school for, which was a career in computer science. And then the second one was my first big move to the United States was kind of a disaster. And I don't need to get into it, but like it was professional. It was professionally a disaster, but it got me there. It started me on the road that the next thing, literally a year later, I'd fixed it and we were in great shape and all that stuff. But like, I was just staring off in the distance. Because I was like, it's interesting because what was dawning on me was I don't think of those as disasters at all anymore. I don't even think about them. And then secondly, to the binary point, it's like, well, that was a disaster that led to this great thing.
So then it's not really
so it wasn't a disaster. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, it comes back to the notion of failure.
Yeah.
Like failure is failure once you decide to walk away from it.
Yes, exactly.
You keep on pushing and try to change it and make it better.
Yeah.
It's not failure.
It's not failure.
Failure is just when you walk away.
Or sometimes not.
Sometimes not even. You see what I mean? It's like, I think there's too much weight associated with that term.
I agree.
Like,
I was just thinking about,
there's even things that you will not reach maybe the goals that you set to yourself. And generally they're high because everybody has ambition to some extent, right? So if you reach them, it also means that we're not high enough. You said that recently in a meeting, and I thought that was very pertinent. And if you don't get there and you walk away, you start a company, you try, you end up walking away, you're going to learn so much.
Yeah, of course.
Like you move country, you don't like it, you go back home, you learn so much. You see what I mean? So I don't want to go into like, what is the definition of failure and get into philosophy, but you see what I mean? Exactly. It's when you decide it's a failure. But
that's owning it.
It could sometimes never be a failure.
Yeah.
Do you ever think though, but do you ever think though that that's part of the problem?
Yeah.
Is we don't have a healthy relationship to failure.
Oh, exactly.
Jesse, I think you talked about this. We talked about it early on, which was like, when we talked about failure for this company, people were like, well, what if I never make any money and I have to sell my house and my whole family and I'm living on the street. And it's like, that was never going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
You know what I mean?
Robert also told me that. He was like, that's dramatic.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
But you think about that.
Yeah, totally.
You do. Like your failure is such a big thing that is probably not real.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing on instinct before we move on from that?
Of course.
'Cause I think it's a hot take. I'm not sure.
Yeah, give us some hot takes. Hot takes make for good clips.
Okay.
Yeah. Look into a camera and just turn on the TikTok video right now.
Is therapy culture hurting or helping people's ability to make big decisions?
Ooh, I love this.
Oh my God. Did you just like come up with this like that?
Yeah, she did.
Because look, everything is good to a certain point. Let's
Yes.
be clear. And like you started this, Roman, with a very important point around this table. This is a privileged group of people. So like, you know, take it all with a grain of salt. But I think like it goes back to the point of over analysis, over research, over conceptualization of over theorizing, over planning, over scenario planning. You know, at some point there's diminishing returns on that. I think in general, potentially, well, I'm going to just say it, in general, diminishing returns on therapy. I know that there's been a lot of conversation around that recently, that at some point it's like too much.
I think you need to get on Subway Takes with that one.
Did you?
I think that's a really good one.
Did you say that specifically in reference to instinct because you think it degrades it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see truly if there was a way to quantify the number of big decisions made bold decisions made pre-therapy culture and post-therapy culture. Like on paper, I wonder if it seems like therapy really helps people make decisions, and it does, right? Of
course.
Again, it does. But yeah, at some point you lose your instinct in the sea of therapy language and analysis and scenario planning and thinking about it and talking about it and thinking about it and talking about it. And I think the more we were talking about instinct, the more I was thinking about that, and obviously had to say it out loud.
You know, also, what you're saying makes me think also that ignorance nowadays is so important to liberate yourself from doing things.
Yes.
You know, like I love going to some meetings with some people, you know, you have two techniques. Either way, like you Google like who you're meeting, what they're doing, their whole history, and you go like very prepared, or you go in full ignorance. And I feel most of the time much more free and much more liberated in my way of talking when I'm ignorant, because I'm not afraid to say a mistake. I'm not like judgmental with myself and, you know, how I'm going to articulate my ideas. I'm just much more.
You can just be curious and
curious.
I love that.
That's literally this podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I've always thought like a real value that I appreciate that I have is that I'm not too worried about looking stupid.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's a big strength.
That is one of your biggest strengths.
Because it is to that point. It is the reason I've done some crazy things. It's the reason I just jump into things and all of that. And that's connected to instinct, I think, as well, which is there's a certain level of, well, I'm going to do it. It'll be fine. And if these people don't get it, they don't get it. That's fine. You know what I mean? I don't know what
you're good at that. You're very good. That's a big strength because I don't know.
And stupid questions are the best. You go to a dinner with people, and when someone asks genuine stupid questions, amazing.
And usually when people say, sorry, stupid question, the question's great.
Yeah, it's a great question.
And it's usually someone very smart that is asking the question.
Stupid question. Yeah, that's usually how Simon
just trying
starts
not to offend anyone.
That's a lot of times how I start.
Yeah.
But just to finish, I just wanted to say one more thing about ignorance. I also think that when you're okay, you know you're going to make a decision, you feel it coming, like just this idea of like pulling the trigger and making the move. If you have the excitement, the instinct, you worked a bit on your security net and all of that, but then you leave ignorance and you're not trying to find all the answers to your questions, and you bring this with timing, short timing, because also what makes people never move is like, I have time, or, you know, so you can like take 15 years to make a move. But if you're like, okay, I'm ignorant, I'm going to find the answers to my question once I'm there, so let's just move there. It's
figure it out.
Pull the trigger.
Ignorance plus short timeline equals forced instinctual decision,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
What did you study again?
There's that systems brain we love.
That's an interesting, because I think you just broke down a way to do it.
The model.
The model.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is don't
we can
overthink it. Give yourself a deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, yes. The deadline thing is so important.
It really is.
Yeah. If you have this perception of infinite time, and I think that's why people talk about not regretting things on your deathbed, but it's the wrong way to talk about that. You're trying to motivate somebody by thinking about a future they can't imagine versus breaking it down back to your not original question, Roman, but I don't know, 30 minutes ago about the micro steps. I think deadlines is a brilliant micro step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what Joey always used to say, I think it was a quote from Philippe Stark, who said, there's nothing more, I think it was, if it wasn't stimulating, but there's nothing more exciting than a spreadsheet and a budget.
Yeah.
As a creative.
Constriction.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Restriction.
Always restrictions, limitations, deadlines is what drives decisions, creativity, and all of this.
Yeah.
How do you force instinct?
Oh,
I think
love
has
that.
been a big part of it.
Or how do you, yes. Is it forcing or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. And then how do you become more comfortable with it?
And
Or making
how do you
decisions that way?
rebrand trust your gut?
Yeah.
How do you make it real as opposed to just a saying in passing that people say around the dinner table quickly, because it's real.
It is real.
Like, how do you make it, how do you add value to that, centuries old saying?
We got a lot of rebranding in this episode. But it's interesting. We have to rebrand failure. You have to rebrand permanence, like the idea that a big decision is a final decision. It's for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You have to rebrand trust your gut. You have to rebrand the age issue that we talked about. It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, have we gotten any closer?
I'd like to do all of that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we're meant to solve this, you guys. I think we all know. We all know. So usually, when there's like the first 2 minutes of an episode, we're like, when you hear the question, you're like, okay, this one's not meant to be solved in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, but best conversation ever.
But we'll have a good conversation.
Yeah.
You're all looking at me like I need to keep asking questions, and I have a bunch.
Yes, lead us.
We actually talked about that. Wow, we followed
Your plan?
the plan.
Wow, it's like you walked us right into it.
Was there any
This is such an interesting topic.
post-decision like pitfall that you've ever experienced? I mean, you talked about it. You talked about plenty of like things, but then it ended up going back on rails. And we
realizing that a failed decision isn't a failure in a weird way is something that literally I realized in this conversation.
Yeah.
That's good.
This might be too similar to something we've already talked about, but it's just another version. I really can't stop thinking about what you said at the beginning with what other people are going to think of you being one of the barriers.
It is.
And then I was thinking about how social media has had an impact on that, and whether like on the surface, you would argue, like the whole joke is if you didn't post it, it didn't happen. And you could make the argument that being able to share something actually motivates a big decision, because you're like, well, I don't really I'm kind of afraid to do that, but I want other people to know how like cool and adventurous I am. So I'm going to do it for the likes, for the gram. I'm going to do it for the gram. But on the flip side, when you do that, you're like so exposed. And I wonder if the fear of, I've heard so many people actually say that they're going to announce that they're going to run a marathon just so then they're held accountable by.
I love that.
And I think actually it's an interesting small tactic.
Yes, it is.
But this is fear of failure.
And it could be that's why I'm saying it's interesting, because I could see it going both ways. One, where it's like, if we keep reinforcing the idea of doing it for other people, it doesn't really solve the problem. But on the other hand, it could be really motivating to be held accountable by people around you to, to make the, I mean,
And some people
choices.
would like just say I'm running a marathon, and just the fact they wrote it, it's like I did it.
Yeah. No one needs to know what happens after that.
It's to know the truth.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap before I do the official.
Has it
wrap
already
up,
been an hour?
Almost. Before I do the official wrap up, we're gonna do like rapid fire question. Don't overthink it. 3 boldest decisions you ever made in your life, Simon.
Marrying my wife, leaving my country, and starting this company.
Leaving, starting this company, and starting this company.
Moving to Dubai. I mean, I want to say something else. I started my company, but I started my company, I was 24 years old,
that's
and
incredible.
I feel that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
So starting my company. Yeah, and marrying my crazy husband, I'm guessing.
Crazy Turkish Aussie husband who's like a good creative brain too. I can't beat what Simon said. To me, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's like and actually we didn't talk about this. I think I'm using this term intentionally. Choosing your partner, because it is a choice, right? It's a decision.
Yeah,
is the most important decision that you can make in life. I think.
I agree.
And so to me, hands down, number one.
Yeah,
and I got lucky. My partner is fucking fantastic.
I mean, guys, have a little hug.
Exactly. And then the rest is the same, like leaving my home country and then starting this company. But you see how like there was starting the company for all 4 of us. There was leaving the country for the 3 of us, because you've never done it, but you grew up in a good one. And there was like
I've lived in other places.
there was marriage. Like it's like it's not a coincidence. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There's gold. There's gold in them hills.
There's gold in
them hills. Exactly.
That's what Simon say. All right, I'm gonna wrap us up. Even though I think, Jesse, you stole my wrap up, you just did a much better job than I could ever imagine. I was actually gonna talk about the 4 buckets that you highlighted, almost as messaging pillars, if I wanted to go a little tactical. But
frameworks.
But I do think
Here we
go. But I do think the way you framed it is actually more true to the task. So it's a rebranding exercise across 4 main buckets: failure, terrible perception of failure and the impact of it in your life, and does it even exist? Frankly, permanence. To your point, instinct.
Yeah.
The trust your gut thing. I love that part of the conversation. And then the breaking down the use, the age thing. You can only, you need to be young to make big decisions. It's like, I remember that's one of the things also that, made me comfortable making that decision. I heard like on multiple podcasts, women, dudes who had like started companies after the age of 40. And they were like, just look at the success rate of people starting after 40 versus like at 25. And it makes sense. It just makes sense, right? It's maturity. You've learned for 20 years. So anyway, I think that's it.
So
Alix,
fun.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was
That's so
amazing.
fun.
It was so good.
So good.
That was so
Such a
fun.
great chat.
Like I can't believe we did an episode in Dubai with
Crazy.
you.
It's so easy.
You know what? Once a quarter, we'll record in Dubai.
Exactly. Let's do it.
Well, thank you all for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Crack It in an Hour. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Crack It in an Hour. If you like the show, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you have questions, thoughts, or feedback, shoot us an email at hello@crackitpodcast.com or on Instagram @crackitpodcast. Music done by Michael Anastasi, cover art shot by Mick Mint, and all things audio and video taken care of by Nathan Nash. See you next time.